In the past, people who committed crimes and even those who were just accused of those crimes were given crazy and terrible punishments. Crucifixion. In the Middle Ages, it was common to nail or tie people to a wooden cross and then leave them out in the open so that everyone could see them die a slow, painful death. The story of Jesus Christ's execution shows this. It was used as a punishment by the Persians, Carthaginians, and Romans, among others. The best thing about crucifixion was that it scared people so much that they wouldn't do anything bad or rebel against the government. The Brazen Bull. This method was created by the ancient Greeks and was also known as the Sicilian Bull because it was first used in Sicily. It was made of metal and looked like and was the size of a real bull. The bull was said to be hollow and made entirely out of bronze with a door on one side. The person who was being punished would be locked inside and fire would be lit under the bull, heating the metal until the person inside was roasted to death. This machine also had systems that could turn the screams of the criminal into the sounds of a bull. Flaying. Flaying literally means to skin something. In the past, people were often punished or tortured by being skinned alive instead of killing them. It depended on how much skin was cut off. They either died or became mentally scarred and could never walk again. Mesopotamia was known for this way of torturing people. In the same way, people were punished by having pieces of skin cut off of them. Shylock wasn't crazy when he made that demand after all. Using rats. There are still people who like to torture or kill others with rats, but there were more of them in the past. There was a thing called rat trap, where a rat would be put inside a cage. One side of the cage would be closed and the other side would be opened. The open side of the cage would then be placed on the criminal's body, usually around the stomach side. The closed side of the cage would then be heated with fire, and the poor rat would slowly eat away at the victim's skin to make room for itself, because the other side was simply too hot. The breaking wheel. In the past, the broken wheel was another way that people were put to death. From ancient times to the 19th century, the breaking wheel was mostly used in Europe to torture people and put them to death in public. It was also called the punishment wheel, the Wheel of Catherine, or the St. Catherine's wheel. This very basic tool was just a wheel with spikes or chains that were used to tie the prisoners to. The guilty person would be hit in the arms with a club or cudgel, and as the wheel turned, his bones would slowly break, causing him to die in unbearable pain. Impalement. In the Middle Ages, it was not only normal, but also popular to impale someone with a pike, pole, spear, hook, or stake. People who have been found guilty of treason or crimes against the state would be punished in this way. During wartime, impalement was also used to put down rebellions, punish spies or collaborators, and punish soldiers who didn't follow orders. And people did come up with a lot of ways to use this method of punishment. In this horrible way, different body openings would be used for different crimes, but they all led to a very painful death in the end. Crushed under an elephant. In South and Southeast Asia, especially India, criminals were put to death by being crushed under an elephant. During public executions, elephants were used to crush, dismember, or torture prisoners. The animals were taught to either kill their prey right away or torture them slowly over a long time. Sometimes, the elephants were made to just dismember the convict and not completely kill him. Most commonly employed by royalty, the elephants were used to signify both the ruler's power of life and death over his subjects and his ability to control wild animals, abused by wild animal to death. The citizens of ancient Roman Empire were huge fans of entertaining shows, and nothing makes for a more entertaining show than watching animals kill people by mauling them to death. Especially if it happens to be a woman. Then she would be sexually abused by wild creatures that have been trained specifically for the purpose of doing sexual acts against her until she finally succumbed to death, sawed in half. In the past, people were often put to death by being sawed in half. In places like the Roman Empire, Spain, and some parts of Asia, this way of killing people was used. People were also disemboweled, which meant that their organs were taken out while they were still alive, which slowly killed them. There are different ways that people have been killed by sawing. When it comes to cases involving the Roman Emperor Caligula, the cutting is said to be traversely through the middle. This method is like the old Chinese way of putting people to death by cutting them around the waist. In the cases of Morocco, it is said that sawing was lengthwise, both from the groin upwards and from the skull downwards. Death by boiling. In the Middle Ages, people loved to play with their meat or prisoners, and, of course, it was cool to boil the guilty person in oil or water until they died. There was no direct blood shown, so it wasn't as famous as other methods, but people in Europe and Asia still liked it. Death by boiling is a method of execution in which a person is killed by being immersed in a boiling liquid. Boiling to death is a very painful way to kill someone because it takes so long. People often used a cauldron or a covered kettle full of liquids like water, oil, tar, or tallow, along with a hook and pulley system to carry out these kinds of tasks. Punished by the rack. The rack is a type of torture device that has a frame that is rectangular, generally made of wood, and is raised off the ground just a bit. One or both ends of the frame are fitted with rollers. Then both of the victim's wrists are chained to one roller and their legs are tied to the other. As the criminal is being questioned, a handle and ratchet mechanism connected to the top of the roller are used to slowly pull the chains back. This puts more pressure on the prisoner's shoulders, hips, knees, and elbows, which causes unbearable pain. This roller can be turned on its own axis using pulleys and levers. This puts stress on the ropes until the victim's joints dislocated and finally came apart. Also, muscle fibers lose their ability to tighten if they are stretched too far, which makes them useless. Cropping of the ears. Cropping is when someone's ears are cut off as a form of physical punishment. It was done along with being whipped or put in the stocks, and sometimes it was done along with punishments like branding or fines. Cropping sometimes occurred as a standalone punishment where criminals' ears would be cut off with a blade. Criminals' ears were also nailed to the pillory and then eventually cropped as an extra punishment. The idea was that their movement would tear their ears off. Most of the time, this punishment didn't kill the person who was found guilty, but in some cases, they did die from an infection spread from the wound. Death by burning. People in early ages loved a good fire, and what better ways to light a fire than to burn a person at the stake? One of the most popular ways to punish people accused of treason or witchcraft was to burn them alive. This made a big show and also scared people away from performing these crimes. Death by burning, which is also called immolation, is a way to kill someone by letting them catch fire or being exposed to high heat. It has a long history as a way to put people to death in public, and many societies have used it to punish and warn people about crimes. The most well-known way to kill someone in this way is by setting fire under a big wooden stake and tying the person to it. If you found this journey into the depths of historical punishments intriguing, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay updated on our dark explorations into history. Until next time, stay curious and stay informed. Bye for now.